Let's do this. This is week number 2 and day number 7 on the 100-day Baja Bug build. This is our cab on table and the start of our super sweet tube chassis car. So come on over and we'll talk about what's going on with the cab. To give you guys, oh my, can I get in here? I might need to wedge that open, but so this thing's pretty skinned, not chopped, not cut, like we talked about in the first video, because this thing has your accordion style sunroof on it. Dude, this thing is so much taller now that's on the table. I'm like, dude, this little Volkswagen's freaking tall. It's like lifted. Anyways, it's not chopped, not stretched, but it's all cut up. So this thing is whole front firewall section cut out and rear firewall section cut out. So because this thing is going to be a tube chassis, relatively sealed cab, and this body's going to be removable, all the cuts that were made in this, all of the sections removed, are all to give us access, access to the cab to make it removable. So to give you guys a good overview of it, the front firewall was chopped like right here at your kind of windowsill. So this front windowsill, I think I'm going to keep it. It'll give you kind of a home for fiberglass if this thing gets a fiberglass front hood. So that's why you see front windowsill and also your little provisions for the factory windshield wiper. So hopefully this thing will be factory windshield, factory glass, factory windshield wipers maybe with some sort of sub-assembly motor down here. We haven't gotten that far, but the idea was to leave this so we can get there. And then obviously you have the front of the cowl that kind of mates with the fiberglass if this gets a fiberglass hood. And then you can see how far it's cut back from there. This is about as far back as you want to go. You can see you have this kind of molded piece here that gives your cab structure and also houses your hinges for the door. We want to cut this thing as far back as we could go to give us tire clearance and enough material there where we have some structure. So come on in and I'll give you guys, let me open one of these freaking doors and I will give you guys a better understanding of what's going on in here. It's one of these. Oh, come on. Let's try the other one. Oh, this one's gonna go. Yeah, there we go. All right, come on in. This thing has layers to it with the front firewall. There's a lot of factory Volkswagen stuff going on in there. I just got a really long chop saw blade and just went down the entire, a really long sawzall blade and just went down it like butter, cut it there, and then came in here and sectioned this all out appropriately for your dash tubes, A-pillar, and all the kind of stuff that's going to fill up the front firewall here. This thing is cut where you have a lot of factory spot welds. If you can retain some of the spot welds that are holding, cab to door hinge section or cab to floor section, you're going to retain a lot more strength. So the idea is to cut as much as we can to give us the room for our tube work and everything in the chassis, but still retain the strength. So you'll see some factory spot welds and some of the stuff like this. The floor as well, there looks like there's some along here, a couple there. But moving backwards, I guess, the sides were cut out, and that's to give us a little bit more room on the outsides for the chassis. That way your B pillars and all of your down tubes can go wider, spread wider while not restricting the cab from coming off. The Volkswagen guys might get mad at me, but I think this is your heater channel area. So there's like a whole bunch of sheet metal, like little ducting in there for all your AC and heat. I think that's what that does. Cut all that stuff out. We're gonna prep this, wire wheel it, and plate it in. When this guy gets plated in, it'll probably have backing plates with like nut certs in it. And we'll use those as our provisions for mounting the cab. Alrighty, I used my door handle to get this door open somehow. When you cut stuff out and you cut off all of the structure that's keeping the cab from pinching in, take a bunch of measurements. Take a bunch of measurements because when this thing gets cut and you cut all this stuff out here that's holding the cab from pinching, it will shrink. Shrinks a ton. Those numbers although it may not seem important, they give the cab its shape and structure, which aligns your doors and stuff and does a lot more. I'm sure it affects how the sunroof opens, etc. But this door, you can see how poorly this thing shuts. It doesn't even line up anymore. And it lined up pretty good initially. So this thing will probably get a tube tacked in place, I'd assume, stretching it back out to the numbers that we measured before all the sheet metal and before all of the chassis gets laid out. Let's move on to the back. I think you guys understand the front very well. The front's 2 seats. It's B-pillars that go down, your door bars that we'll do towards the end, a cab cage that works with the accordion style to upper roof. The rear section of this is the complicated portion. It's very crowded. We have big for a Baja Bug, King 2.5-inch coilover, 3.0 bypass that'll be right here in this kind of windowsill area. And then we'll have gas tank in here. Radiator will probably be on the back side. And the curve ball that the owner has put into this is a 3rd seat. So yeah, we don't know if it's possible. It'll be something where we get a lot of the tubes in here first and try to make it possible. But because we have no rear firewall section, we have the ability to kind of cheat all of our cooling stuff and, gas tank, because our tank's going to be back here. Our tank can kind of sit a little bit out here. You got to think you're going to have a lot of sheet metal on the backside, ducting or something like that, that pulls air down to the radiator. So you could hold stuff, you can hide stuff like your gas tank if it sits a little further back. So dude, I'm realizing how tight it's going to be in here really quickly. And I'm standing on my 2 toes down here, 2 feet down here. But when this thing has all the tubes in it, it's going to be so tight in here. This thing's going to get a custom built tank, not a cell. So not a cell with a bladder. It'll just get a tank with baffles in it, and some sort of like home box with a pickup in it or something like that, maybe with floodgates on it. We'll talk about that when we get there. Because we're building a tank by hand, we might do something where it's a void in the middle and is on the other side of the sheet metal. And so your rear occupant isn't just right next to the gas tank, but on the other side of the firewall and sheet metal. A lot of people do like a fiberglass scoop on the outside to pull air into the Bug. A lot of times they'll run air to the radiator like that, or to your air-cooled Volkswagen. It would be cool if this thing had a radiator up front. Because we're A-arms and we have all the tube structure there, I don't think we have room for it. So this thing will be either external scoops or some sort of, lower or something that's feeding air through the side of it. Hopefully the sheet metal behind the shock mounts kind of encompasses a duct that feeds the radiator in the back. So don't hold me to it, but we're going to try to put a 3rd seat in this thing. Last thing we're going to talk about. This is a small section of his Volkswagen pan. The pan is usually or the tunnel rather, is usually your center section that goes through the car, gives it a lot of its structure. It ties from the rear pivots on the torsion tube to your beam on a stock Volkswagen. This is a small section cut out from it that has your VIN on it. We're going to try to make this thing street legal. And in doing so, you need a square foot section of your stock Volkswagen VIN. And so this thing will probably it might get some little tabs or bracketry in the rear kind of quarter area where we can bolt this thing in. Obviously sandblasted, cleaned, powder coated, that kind of stuff, and put it in there. Anyways, that is 2nd episode. It's not a lot. It doesn't look like a lot. This cab will come on and off probably another 50 times before next week's episode. Dude, I point so much. You guys are listening, right? You're listening. But this thing will come off a ton of times in between then. It'll get bulkhead in there, arms in there, a bunch of floor section. Next week, you guys are going to see a bunch of tubes in this thing. Thank you for tuning in. Come back next week. And if you like what you saw, leave us a comment. And I can talk about it maybe. So get with it. Come watch us. It's going to be sweet.